400 km per hour? Yes, 400. Our friends here built a car to go above that speed, breaking records at Le Mans. The challenge wouldn't be simple, obviously, and they would need factory support from a major manufacturer, Peugeot. Would they be able to do it? You're in small great stories every week here on Splash and Go. You already know a little story about Formula One or not, like today's case. As long as it's quick, it's nice to tell and cool to know. Let's go! Building a race car is not a simple task, especially if the challenge is for endurance races, the long-duration races. Because the engineers need to balance the necessary speed, obviously with endurance. It's no small endurance. Endurance for races of 6, 12, 24 hours. In addition, the cars have to be thought out, or in this case, rethought, taking into account the repair demands in a long race like these. Because it's normal. At Le Mans, Daytona, Sebring, etc., brake assemblies, large engine parts, turbo, etc. are changed. The regulations allow it as long as you get to the pits under your own power. All of this has to work during the day, at night, in rain or shine, fog, and traffic, with many cars moving at different speeds around you, in a setup usually configured for 3 or 4 different drivers, since the crew takes turns. That's why the 24-hour races, especially at Le Mans, are considered the ultimate test for a race car. I've even made a video about the history of the 24 hours of Le Mans. I'll leave the link in the description, detailing the specifics of this race. In the 80s, the French manufacturer Peugeot showed up in Group C, a category whose story I've also told. It's worth taking a look. And the goal was to create a car exclusively to break the absolute speed record. At that time, the Prototype World Championship was at its peak, getting a lot of media attention. So they thought, if we break the absolute speed record, it would be a way to grab attention, to win a race without needing all that to win. It seemed like an interesting line of thought, a shortcut to shine more than even the winners. But this had started even before Peugeot thought about it. Peugeot decided to hop on the project. They come into the picture. I, with my shaky French, will dare to say their names: Gérard, 𝘾𝙤𝙤, and Michel Meunier. Editor, correct me. Gérard, 𝘾𝙤𝙤, and Michel Meunier. 2 friends, engineers who worked hour by hour at Peugeot. 2 decades earlier, the two decided, in their free time, to put together a racing team and, from scratch, build a car to compete in the 24 hours of Le Mans. It was the end of the 60s, and from the union of the two, the WM team was born, from their initials. In 1976, WM lined up a car for the first time on the grid of the 24 hours. They would race in the category, or class, as the friends of endurance like to say, GTP, under the hood. Of course, a Peugeot engine. The team was made up of enthusiasts and friends. There was no professional involvement from anyone up to that point. And given those conditions, they didn't do too badly. But with the arrival of the Group C regulations and the subsequent influx and entry of manufacturers, the bar was raised significantly, and the pool got deep for the friends. After getting beaten up by the competition several times, they then decided that their goal wouldn't be to win the race anymore, but to break the absolute speed record. From that moment on, the goal would be to exceed 400 km per hour on the straight. Called by many Moussin, but it has another name, 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙧, something like that. Straight line of the 𝘾𝙤𝙥, and that's where Project 400 began. Project 400, obviously, the 400 km per hour. They then developed the first project, the WM P87, said. Seeing all that happen right under their nose, with people close to the factory, Peugeot then takes notice and thinks, we have an excellent opportunity here. She then decides, albeit timidly, to support the project. She then lends her wind tunnel, which could be used on Sundays by the WM project, or Project 400. And it would also start supplying high-performance engines from PRV. A joint venture with Volvo and Renault, the engine produced around 850 horsepower. In tests, they only reached around 356 km/h. Shortly after, with some modifications, the P87 In the tests, it hits 416 km per hour of top speed. But a test is a test, and a race is a race. And they would only attract the expected media attention, of course, during the 24 hours of Le Mans. They kept experimenting on closed roads in France, specifically with a 6-kilometer stretch to simulate the Mousani Strait. And when they arrived at the 24 hours of 1987, the P87 would last only 13 laps, reaching a top speed of 387 km per hour, still below from the expected goal. The dream would have to wait at least another year, but the potential was there. In 1988, the WMP88 comes along, a new engine from Peugeot reworked. This one now produced 900 horsepower, and the project had aerodynamic refinements, everything aimed at reducing drag, improving drilling, and allowing them to break the record. In the race, they had several problems. They were stopped for over 3 hours, and by that point, they had only managed to reach 389 kilometers per hour. But it was time to break the record. And at Le Mans, you can go back to the track, and they come back when everything was set. They increase the turbo pressure and send the driver, Roger Dorchi, out on the track. Is that how you say it, editor? Roger Dorchi? And then, kind of in desperation, they make some attempts cutting back on other parts and going full throttle down the straight, not knowing how far the car would hold up. But the WMP88, Peugeot would manage to record 407 to set km per hour more than once. But Peugeot at the time was launching the 405 model. So, 407 was the fastest lap, but they took advantage of the number from one that wasn't so good, 405, to say that they had set this speed record, and that was the number passed along for advertising reasons. Beaten and rebeaten the record, the WMP88 returns to the pits with Roger Ugsi at the wheel. Mission accomplished. That's the end of their participation in the 24 hours. With the addition of 𝘾𝙤𝙥𝙮𝙦 in the following years, this record will probably never be broken, at least not at Le Mans. So that was just another little big story from Splash and Go on YouTube. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a like, it's free, it doesn't cost anything, It really helps the channel a lot. Breaks for me, breaks for us. And don't forget to share your hype with us. This tool from YouTube is for you to show the algorithm that you like the video, you like the work, you like our channel. So he keeps spreading our content out there on the internet for people who still don't know us. All right. If you want to receive notifications for each of our videos, down here, we have Telegram and WhatsApp channels. You sign up and start receiving an automatic message as soon as each piece of content goes live. Last but not least, we also have our social media here, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, where there's content all day long. And that way you won't miss out on anything. Cool. So that's it. Thanks. And that hug.